Hello there, a very good evening. Welcome to Rupavahini News. I'm Chamindi Samrasekara.
And Manoj Hettiaraj. A look at the headlines.
The President states Sri Lanka is in second place among countries committed for internal peace. The Prime Minister makes evident it is high time to safeguard Theravada Buddha Sasana. Warnings of strong winds across the country and in surrounding seas. Damages caused in several areas. Legal experts say the Constitution does not allow the establishment of hybrid courts with foreign judges. A revelation from Minister Dayasri on the conduct of former Minister Basil Rajapaksa. A relief program for the displaced and the residents of high-risk zones. Malcolm Turnbull establishes a new government in Australia.
On to those and other stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena reveals Sri Lanka is placed second among 163 countries which were committed to the establishment of internal peace last year. Addressing the function organised to unveil the Batticaloa District Sports Complex, he said this fact is stated in the 2016 report of the International Organisation for Global Economy and Peace. Meanwhile, the renovated Batticaloa Air Force runway was also unveiled by the President. The special aircraft carrying the head of state touched down at the Batticaloa runway this morning. The President was welcomed with an Air Force salute by the Air Force Commander Air Marshal Gagan Bulat Sinhala. The commemorative plaque of the renovated runway was also unveiled by the President. The runway, which is 1,560 meters in length, was renovated within 100 days at a cost of 1.143 billion rupees. Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena also graced the 202nd anniversary of the Methodist Central College, Batticaloa. A special commemorative plaque and the school website were also launched by the President. He was also presented with a memento to mark the occasion. Subsequently, the President unveiled the Batticaloa Sports Complex. During his address, he emphasized it is the government's duty to create an environment of peace and coexistence in the country. Whilst pledging to make decisions safeguarding all the cultures, the head of state said the right of the people to coexist in a just society will also be consolidated.
President
Maithripala Sirisena revealed international organization states the country has moved up 18 places in the list of countries committed to establish internal peace. He said peace and political stability is essential for the development of the country. He also highlighted the responsibility of all to ensure a conflict is not repeated. The President said there are millions of children of all ethnicities and he considers them all to be his children. He also emphasized the importance of coexistence and racial harmony. While saying certain individuals boast about mega development in the country, the head of state charged all the local industries have faced dilapidation within the past 2 decades. Speaking about the previous regime, the President made lucid foreign revenue has declined and exports are at an extreme low. He also said approximately 500 factories were closed during this period. He added that due procedure was also ignored under the previous regime. The head of state concluded saying the development should be spread equally to all 9 provinces.
පාරවල් හදනකොට විදුලිය දෙනකොටත් ඒවා දීලා තියෙන්නේ ජාතික ප්‍රමුඛතාවනුව නෙවෙයි එක එක්කෙනාගේ පුද්ගලික කැමැත්ත මතයි. රටක සංවර්ධනය කියන්නේ මේ පරිපාලන දිස්ත්‍රික්ක 25ක් පළාත් 9ක් එක හා සමාන සංවර්ධනයක යන්න ඕනේ. එක එක්කෙනාට ඕන විදියට හැන්දෙන් බෙදලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ.
The President also unveiled the newly built swimming pool of Batikalo Sports Complex. Ministers and state officials were also present at the occasion.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes it is high time to safeguard the Theravada Buddha Sasana. He made the remark addressing a ceremony organized for the decade commemoration of the Sri Bodhiraja Rama Temple, Lunavu Moratua. The ceremony was organized by the chief incumbent of the Sri Bodhiraja Rama Temple, the Venerable Professor Agalakada Sri Sumanathera. The Prime Minister praised the chief incumbent for his service rendered to the Sasana and the social sector. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said there is a demand for Pirivan education and the first step in this regard would be to obtain a report on Pirivan education. He said he has requested a report with the input of relevant ministries and Mahasangha either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year to amend the Pirivan procedure in a bid to forge ahead. The Premier revealed the government hopes to celebrate Vesak in 2017 in grandeur and measures to this end will be taken. He also said time has come to make a decision to visit fellow Buddhist countries and hold discussions with Mahasangha in a bid to protect Buddhism. The Prime Minister made lucid a summit in this regard will be convened during the 70th Independence Day celebrations 2018. He emphasized the responsibility of government to safeguard Buddha Sasana. A large gathering including Mahasangha and ministers graced the occasion.
A Cardiff activist of the JVP staged a protest opposing the increase of VAT in Anuradhapura today. The protest was worked off adjacent to the Anuradhapura bus stand for about an hour with the participation of approximately 250 people. Their request was to remove the increased VAT. Meanwhile, Minister Sajid Premadas also expressed his thoughts on the increase of VAT at a function in Hambantota. The function was organized to commence the building work of the 38th Udagammane in the district. Minister Sajid Premadas said he does not like the public being burdened by VAT. He questioned who would shoulder the loans obtained to build the Hambantota port and the Mattala airport. The minister revealed projects such as Udagama are financed from the tax money. He highlighted the lack of profligacy to be the major difference between the government and the previous regime.
The strong winds which blew across Nathandeya Puthulam resulted in the obstruction of Nathandeya Maravila main road due to falling electricity cable posts and trees. Our correspondent, however, said the road has now returned to normalcy. Various roads were obstructed owing to the strong winds this morning. Several houses also sustained damages. The roads were cleared for vehicular traffic by the Nathandeya Pradeshya Sabha. Our correspondent said measures have been taken to expedite the supply of electricity as well. Meanwhile, strong winds across Mabula-Vattala this morning caused obstructions along the Colombo-Negombo main road. The cause of the obstruction was a fallen electricity supply cable. After an hour, the Vattala police intervened and brought the situation to normalcy. The Department of Meteorology says strong winds may prevail within the island and surrounding sea areas. Wind speeds in sea areas may increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. The request the maritime community to be vigilant as the seas may turn rough.
Experts in the legal sector say the Constitution does not facilitate the establishment of a hybrid court to deliberate war crimes. They were responding to an article published in a newspaper suggesting the establishment of such to investigate human rights violations. Intellectuals point out publication of prevaricating reports is damaging to media ethics. Accusations were levelled from various quarters pertaining to human rights violations subsequent to the conclusion of the conflict. The situation, however, was exacerbated due to the prickly approach adopted by the previous government. Addressing a media briefing recently, Minister Mangala Samaravira said the present government has managed to draw praise from the UN Human Rights Commission due to its cooperative conduct. A national media outlet today also reported a hybrid court consisting of international judges will also be established in the country to investigate war crimes within 9 months. President Maithripala Sirisena said the published report is a complete fabrication. He also said the constitution does not allow the establishment of court with foreign judges, and he himself too does not agree with the concept. The head of state conceded the people in the north may have issues, but said the solution for such is not the division of the country. Responding to our inquiry, the former Commissioner of Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission Attorney at Law, Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva said a hybrid court cannot be established, contradicting the constitution.
They are actually watching, monitoring, looking how human rights progress happening in Sri Lanka. But they never said it is compulsory to establish a hybrid court. The last proposal, it was said to establish a hybrid court, but still Sri Lanka having a chance. What Sri Lanka can do, Sri Lanka can negotiate, further negotiate with USA and Human Rights Council and find out a proper domestic system. In the proper domestic system, I always encourage if we can go for a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That is the best. That's why national reconciliation and also started with negotiation with all these nations in Sri Lanka, and there is no compulsory way to establish a hybrid court, because Sri Lanka, if you see the constitution and also the Judicature Act, foreign judges cannot sit. They are not permitted to sit. They are not allowed to sit. So we have to be very careful when we are expressing our ideas. Freedom of expression is there, but we should give the moral obligation is there for every journalist. What we have to do, we have to think in proper way and twice whether it is truth or not, and then only we have to express to the nation in this country.
The State Department says United States Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs Nisha Desai Biswal will travel to Sri Lanka this week. The Assistant Secretary will meet with senior government officials and political leaders to discuss bilateral economic cooperation as well as democratic governance and reconciliation.
The Police Narcotics Bureau yesterday arrested 2 Maldivian nationals suspected to be major players in a drug racket operation between Pakistan and Maldives through Sri Lanka. The police discovered 385 grams of heroin packed in capsules in the possession of the 2 suspects. The arrests were made following a raid conducted in Dehiwala under the direct supervision of the IGP Pujith Jayasundara. The Maldivian suspects are currently being interrogated under detention orders.
Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara charges that former Minister Basit Rajapaksa attempted to assault him and parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayaka during a COPE committee discussion under the previous regime. The minister made the revelation addressing a function in Katugampala, Kurunegala. Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara said the former president could have taken measures against Mervyn Silva when he tied a Samurdi officer to a tree. He said such did not materialize, and similar incidents continued to manifest unaddressed. The minister added the people took a united stance against the possible 3rd term of the former president.
Let's have a look around Asia in 1 minute. Voting starts across Japan for upper house of parliament seats today. Turnout for this election is expected to be a week. The remains of Super Typhoon Nepatak made landfall in China's eastern Fujian province, forcing people to leave homes and causing power outages. At least 9 people are killed and nearly 100 security personnel are injured in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir state as violent protests erupt over the killing of separatist militant Burhan Wani. The Chinese Navy conducted combat drills on Friday near its southern island province of Hainan and the Parcel Islands in the South China Sea. A rare two-headed snake was found at a zoo in India's central Chhattisgarh state. The snake was about 10 centimeters long.
President Maithripala Sirisena today engaged in an observational tour of the Batticaloa prison, during which he visited the prison cell in which he was held captive as a political prisoner in 1971. Despite not having an affiliation to the 1971 uprising, the president, who was a student at the time, was imprisoned for his involvement in active politics and harboring leftist political views. The head of state reminisced his past experiences. Accompanying him on the tour was a cadre of ministers.
The Korea Program on International Agriculture Centre in Sri Lanka has established a model farm village for rice production at the Rajanganaya. It's been established in partnership with the Rice Research and Development Institute Batalagoda of the Department of Agriculture. The objective of the measure is to improve productivity and quality of rice in the region by utilizing Korean agriculture technology. Under the Skopje project, farmers are requested to cultivate in large plots with deep plowing and to employ organic manure and transplanting mechanization. The partnership for this project is based on an MOU between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Rural Development Administration of Korea.
All the vegetables grown in this farm are cultivated using seeds brought from
The Ministry of Health reveals that 1,056 dengue patients have been reported from the Colombo district alone within the last 8 days. The number of dengue patients reported island-wide is 22,799. The number of deaths stand at 40. Majority of the cases have been reported in Colombo, Gampaha, Kurunegala, Kandy, Matale, Galle and Madra districts. Rapid deployment units have been assigned to the relevant MOH divisions in a bid to curb the epidemic. 5 such units have been assigned to the Colombo district. 7,369 dengue cases reported from the Colombo district within the last 7 months. A 3-day dengue eradication program will be conducted on the 13th, 14th and 15th. The Ministry of Health requests the public to be vigilant of dengue breeding grounds in a national effort to arrest the epidemic.
The funeral of late Mrs. Prema Jayawardena, the mother of the chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Attorney at Law Ravi Jayawardena, was conducted this evening. It was held at the family burial grounds in Palawatta, Matugama. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe paid his last respects to the departed. Ministers and artists were also present. Late Mrs. Prema Jayawardena, who was the deputy post mistress of Paranathanayamgoda Mapalagama, was also the birth and marriage registrar of the Kalutara East Pasdun Koralaya for 36 years. She was a renowned social servant. At the time of her passing away, Mrs. Prema Jayawardena was 85. Minister Kabir Hashim says people displaced due to landslides and residents in high-risk zones will be given 400,000 rupees to purchase a plot of land. He also said 1.2 million will also be given to construct a house, and army labour will also be provided to this end. Minister Kabir Hashim made the revelation while addressing at the Mavanala Divisional Secretariat. 121 members of low-income families were given 10 bags of cement each for plastering, whilst emphasizing the commitment of the government to give land ownership to every family in the country. The minister said measures will be taken to give permanent ownership to people temporarily residing on government land. Minister Kabir Hashim said the good governance government was established during the era of nepotism. He said the present government is committed to serve the common public.
සමහර බලවතුන් ලොක්කෝ දේශපාලඥයෝ කැමති නැහැ එයාලගේ බලය අඩු වෙන එක. එයාලට හිමි වෙන වරප්‍රසාද නැති කරගන්න කැමති නැහැ. එයාලා හුරු වෙලා තියෙන ආකාරයට සියලු දෙයක් එයාලගේ අතට අරගෙන එයාලගේම අයට විතරක් බෙදා ගන්න ඒ සංස්කෘතිය වෙනස් කරන්න බොහෝ දේශපාලඥයෝ කැමති නැහැ. ඒත් අපි ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ. සුදුසු අයට
The minister also inquired into the requirements of the people displaced due to landslides in the Kegol district. Attention was given to the state of the temporary shelters and sanitation facilities. The minister pledged not to cut off the allowances given by the government even if the displaced people are residing with relatives. A group of state officials also joined the observation tour.
Welcome back. We're into foreign news. Australia's Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has declared victory for his Conservative coalition in last week's closely fought general election. His comments came after opposition Labour Bill Shorten conceded defeat and congratulated him. Votes are still being counted, but the Liberal National Coalition is expected to win enough seats to govern. However, a strong swing against it has left doubts about its agenda and Turnbull's leadership. The coalition still remains short of the 76 seats it needs to claim a majority in the lower house, the House of Representatives. But it should secure at least 74 and also has the support of 3 independent and minor party politicians, guaranteeing budget supply and confidence. Labour is currently on 66 seats, with 5 still in doubt. Malcolm Turnbull has his majority, but he is beset on all sides. Opposition leader Bill Shorten is taunting Turnbull at every opportunity and predicting a return to the polls within a year. The Prime Minister has his party's support for now.
On to some international news in brief now. Two Russian pilots have been killed after their military helicopter was shot down by fighters of so-called Islamic State. The Syrian Mi-25 helicopter flown by Rifat Kabibulan and Yegnev Dolgin was brought down east of the ancient city of Palmyra on Friday. US President Barack Obama arrived in Madrid yesterday night for a 2-day visit to Spain. Obama landed at the military base of Torrejón de Ardoz in Madrid, where he was welcomed by Spain's King Felipe and Spain's acting Deputy Prime Minister Soraya Sáenz de Santa Maria. Dallas police have given the all-clear hours after security levels were raised at their headquarters in the city. They said they had received an anonymous threat 2 days after the killing of 5 police officers. A nearby parking lot was searched for a suspicious person, but no one was found. Dozens of people have been killed in clashes in South Sudan's capital Juba. Military gunfire broke out on Friday near the State House, where President Salva Kiir was meeting his sometime rival, Vice President Riek Machar. Estimates of the death toll vary, but most accounts put the number over 100, some as high as 150. Spencer Tunic's latest art installation involved around 3,200 people completely nude and painted in shade of nautical blue. The New York-based artist went to work in Hull in northern England for the big event inspired by the city's maritime history. A matador has died after being gored by a bull in Spain, the first bullfighter to die in the ring in Spain this century. Victor Barrio, 29, a professional bullfighter, was killed when the bull's horn pierced his chest.
A Spanish man in the arm during the 3rd bull run at the San Fermin festival in Pamplona. A 28-year-old Spanish man who was gored in another similar event near Valle died from his injuries.
Got no ship.
Star Trek Beyond is a 2016 American science fiction action film directed by Justin Lin from from a screenplay by Simon Pegg, based on the series of the same name created by Gene Roddenberry. It is the 13th film in the Star Trek film franchise and the third installment in the reboot series after Star Trek Into Darkness.
Four national records were established during the last day of the 94th National Athletics Championship, which concluded today. The best athlete of the championship was Manjula Kumar of the Air Force. Imichai Sandharuwan established a new national record in the men's pole vault with a jump of 5 meters. The previous national record was also held by him with his performance during the SAC Games. A. Madhuvanti set a new record in women's hammer throw with a distance of 47.1 meters. A new national record was also established in women's heptathlon by Lakshika Sudarshini. A special Olympic qualification competition was organized for high jumper Manjula Kumar. He, however, was unable to hit the Olympic qualification mark. The best female athlete of the championship was UK and Ratnaik of Sri Lanka Army, while the trophy for the best male athlete went to Manjula Kumar of the Sri Lanka Air Force.
Swede Alex Noren died the last to host to break clear of a tightly bunched leaderboard and move 2 strokes in front after the third round of the Scottish Open in Inverness yesterday. The 33-year-old, a 4-times winner on the European Tour, fired a 4-under par 68 at Castle Stewart Golf Links to end a wildly fluctuating day of early sunshine and heavy rain showers in the afternoon with a 12-under total of 204. England's Tyrrell Hatton and Italian Matteo Manzaro were tied for second with New Zealand's Danny Lee and South African Justin Walters a further stroke back at 9 under. 5-times major winner Phil Mickelson of the United States, a regular visitor to the Scottish Open, carded a 70 to end the third round, a distant 11 strokes off the pace.
Britain Chris Froome took advantage of passive rivals to take the overall leader's yellow jersey in the Tour de France as he won the 8th stage after attacking on the final descent yesterday. The team's Sky Rider sped away from a group of overall favourites at the top of the last of 4 grueling climbs in the Pyrenees and never looked back as he raced down at breakneck speed towards the line. The defending champion, who is chasing a third Tour title, finished 13 seconds ahead of Ireland's Dan Martin and Spaniard Joaquim Rodriguez. Double champion Alberto Contador lost further ground after being dropped near the top of the Col de Pirados, the last ascent of the 184-kilometer stage.
Gary Hunt showed his class to win the latest round of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series in Portugal yesterday as the reigning world champion to finish comfortably ahead of the competition. Hunt, who has won the World Series a record 5 times, produced a spectacular dive to win ahead of American Andy Jones in second and Mexican Jonathan Paredes in third. Paredes had come into the weekend in the overall lead following the first 2 rounds but couldn't contend with the Hunt as the Briton want to move into first in the overall standings. He leads on 510 points, 50 ahead of Paredes. In the women's event, Australia's Rhiannon Ifland secured her second consecutive victory to stay top of the women's rankings. Ifland, who is competing in her first World Series, has stunned the cliff diving world with her performances this year. The wildcard now sits in the first place overall, 150 points ahead of Canada's Lysanne Richard in second.
The Met Department says that strong winds at times can be expected over the country and the surrounding sea areas. Deep and shallow sea areas around the island can be rough at times as the wind speed can increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Several spells of light showers will occur in the western Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Gaul and Madra districts. Showers or thunder showers are likely at a few places in the Uva province, particularly after 2 p.m. With that, we conclude our night's news bulletin together with Shamindri. Wish you a very pleasant night.